Welcome to the Sandwatch International Database Online Video Tutorial Series. This is on Chapter 9, Water Quality. As usual, we are logging in as guest, which allows us to view data but not edit or change the data in any way. So we'll click Login. And as per usual, we are using the data set in Fiji as our test data. So we'll select Fiji and Long Bay Beach. And we'll click here on Beach and we select the chapter. This is Chapter 9 on water quality. Now, before we get started, I should point out that the water quality tests that are part of Sandwatch are an optional part of Sandwatch. They are not critical to the overall project. You can do Sandwatch and collect tons of important scientific data without doing the chemical testing of water, because it requires such specialized equipment that you may not have access to. So just because you can't do Chapter 9 water quality testing doesn't mean you don't do Sandwatch, or you can't do Sandwatch at all. The water testing kits are fairly expensive to buy, particularly if you have to ship them in from a supplier overseas. The way the many Sandwatch teams get them is when they attend a Sandwatch training workshop. UNESCO sometimes provides each participant a water testing kit to take back with them. But that might last you, 5 or 6 test periods. But when they run out, when the chemicals run out, UNESCO will not replace them. So just so you're aware of that before we get started. So this portion of the tutorial videos assume you do have the water testing kits, and this is how you would record the results into the Sandwatch database. First of all, we would select, you would create a data set, but in this case we already have one for the beach bar site in Fiji. So we click on that, and these are the usual tests that are inside those water testing kits. Now, the usual things that the water quality testing kits measure are such things as fecal coliform, which is fecal bacteria, harmful bacteria in the water, either from livestock or from humans. Dissolved oxygen. The more oxygen in the water, the healthier it is. Biochemical oxygen demand, which is BOD for short, which refers to the amount of organic material in the water. Generally, the higher the BOD, the worse your water quality is. And it's measured in parts per million. Nitrates and phosphates, these generally come from runoff from fertilizers for agriculture, for example, and they are responsible for algal blooms and such things, which can adversely affect coral reefs and fish stocks and things like that. The pH refers to the acidity or alkalinity of the water. Fresh water usually has a pH value between 6.5 and 8.2. The temperature of the water is important, and it's good to measure over time to see if it spikes at certain times of the year and how high it goes, because as you know, high water temperatures for extended periods of time can lead to coral bleaching and significant damage to your coral reef, which has effects all along the beach and for livelihoods for fishermen and all sorts of things. The salinity of the water can be measured, and the turbidity, which is how cloudy or clear it is. Of course, tourists and most people like nice clear turquoise water. They don't like to go swimming in muddy, murky, dirty water. And you can also write observations, such as the smell or the color of the water. Now, as you can see, these water tests were done twice on these dates, on the 7th and on the 12th, and these are the results for both of these test dates. If you were taking your class out this weekend to do some more water testing, this is where you'd hit add new observation set, and you would put in the date where you're taking your class to, and then these are results from the various tests that you would get several days later after the testing, the chemicals have reacted and given you results. As with all our spreadsheet and data, you can graph them. So this is graphing fetal coliform, for example, for the two. So it went up slightly from the first test period to the second test period. Now, of course, if you tested this 5 or 6 times over the course of the year, hopefully you'll see it go up and down as it, the natural variation. You won't see, hopefully, a steady increase, because that would show that a lot of basically sewage is being dumped into, ever increasing amounts has been dumped into your beach. You could also show, rather than fecal matter, you could go to, say, phosphates and view that. That has also gone up over time. This might indicate runoff from agricultural fields nearby. Again, it should fluctuate up and down over time. If you see steady increases over time, then you probably are going to have a problem with algae building up on your reef and the rocks, and even in the sand around your beach. Remember, when you take any observations and you record your data, you've got to hit save to save the data, so when you leave it, it doesn't disappear when you log off. Like all our spreadsheet data in the Sandwatch database, it is exportable. If you clicked on this button here, it would export it in a standard Microsoft Excel spreadsheet format, which is perfect for publishing or PowerPoint presentations or science fairs or what have you, particularly when combined with the graphs that you could save and record, print off as well. I forgot to mention earlier when we went through the different types of tests, if you want more information on what the tests actually measure, you can click here, Explanation of Water Quality Indicators, and this will tell you a little bit more information about what the tests measure. Like on every chapter, of the database, we encourage participants to upload their photographs. Here you can see them collecting water samples, measuring, this is a phosphate test, measuring turbidity, how clear the water is. It's always good to put a caption with the photograph, as well as a date when the picture was taken. As always, please bear in mind that photographs must be less than 1 megabyte in size to be successfully uploaded to the Sandwatch database. If they're bigger than 1 megabyte, you'll get an error and it won't work. And that brings us to the end of Chapter 9, Water Quality. Again, I just want to stress that the water testing chemical portion of the Sandwatch database is optional. If you don't have access to these chemicals or these kits, you can still do Sandwatch, no problem.